oil everywhere.
Finally, the season that felt like it would never start should be starting this weekend.
Married with Dragsters on Competition Plus TV, presented by Moroso. It's your passion for racing that drives us. Moser Engineering, the leader in high-performance rear-end components. By Armor Coat Ceramic Header Coating. Beat the heat with Armor Coat. And by RacingRVS, the place to shop, swap, and sell your racing RV.
No, but look. I'd like to know, is it me? Am I leaking?
Like alcohol, oil looking.
I can't see. What?
There's oil everywhere. Everywhere.
Coming from the vacuum pump?
It's all down below the vacuum pump.
Because I seen it was on the belt too.
Oil everywhere. This motor's coming back out.
Yeah, you can see her diaper. It's soaked. That corner.
Okay, so I've made now 2 full passes down the track, and you know, after I rolled out from the burnout, I'm like, you know, I do think I went out that far. I think that was me leaking on the track, but it wasn't really anything after I rolled back and I was sitting and whatever. So didn't know for sure until we got back here. Yeah, 60-foot time. 3,000ths of a second off where I was in Norwalk, but then the cars started falling off after that. It's the track, the air's not bad, but it's a lot different than it was at Norwalk. Whatever. So thanks to this thing leaking all over the place. I mean, I don't understand why it's leaking all over. I mean, my brand new diaper, screwed. So I'm done. This has been the start to a year from hell.
In racing, time is everything. Traditional AN fittings can strip, over-tighten, or you can forget to tighten. Save time with Jiffy-tite Quick Connect fluid fittings that connect and disconnect in seconds. Jiffy-tite, plumbing simplified.
Dragsters, brought to you by Moroso, Moser Engineering, RacingRVS, and by Armor Coat Ceramic Header Coating on Competition Plus TV.
Tommy Johnson Jr., driver of the Make-A-Wish Dodge Charger Funny Car. Race day rituals, I got a few. They're not like really rituals, but I do the same thing, everything. It's more of a repetitive thing. You know, you get to the track early on Sundays, we leave the hotel at 7, have a little breakfast, nothing, not a lot. I don't like feeling heavy when you're riding, but got a little something in there, and usually a coffee, maybe a little energy drink here and there, but when you get to the staging lanes, you go to I always put my left glove on first. I don't know why, but it's just more of a routine than it is a ritual. And put my left glove on first, put my right one on, and then go to get in, and then always get in on the same side, always get in the same way. I like routine. I don't like when something different. It's less chance for mistakes when you do routine. So I always set up in the seat just a little more on Sundays. So I had a ritual. That's probably what it is. It's setting up in the seat a little more. You lay down to go to bed, you set up to drive. So I'm going to set up high on Sunday.
Well, evidently, since it has oil everywhere, including under the scoop, up on the driver protection plate, it must be coming from around the seal, and it could be coming from the front of the oil pan too. So basically I have to remove the pan, everything off the front of the crank, which would be from the balancer forward, to be able to get in there to that seal that goes around the crank hub and the balancer, because there's oil on everything up in here. So, and it's on the bottom of the vacuum pump and the water pump and the whole front of the fan. So it was definitely coming out in this area. The way the motor spins like this, something must be slinging it, which is why everything was over here. And then of course it blew down the whole side of the car. So I'm gonna have to go in, tear all this apart, and find out where the leak is. I'm gonna have to drop the pan just to reseal it, so I know it's not an issue. So, quite a bit of work to do, and yay. Yeah, taking all the crap off that I put together when it was on the engine stand. And you notice my intake gasket spacer deal does not leak a drop. Gee. You think there'd be leaks anywhere? That's where it'd be happening at.
Well, in addition to all of the stuff that Kevin took care of back there on the motor, then we were having, you know, even though we only got to make really 2 passes down the track, things just weren't jiving on. The burnout limiter wasn't working, and we know Brett at American Race Cars wires these things in his sleep, so he was the one that put the new power grid in for us this year, so we know that's all set up right. But it really wasn't shifting quite right, it wasn't coming out on the burnout limiter right, so we found some things in here that we just needed to tweak a little bit on the MSD View. And we've only been using this a couple of years on Kevin's car, but for the most part, once he had his set up,
it worked fine. He's gone in and tweaked a couple of little things. On mine, we're not going to do quite as much because we're not running the craziness that he runs, but I went in, I noticed that there was a little bit of a shift delay and a launch delay, and there were only two choices on your general settings for ignition type. And on Kevin's car, yes, it would be the MSD8. Well, I wasn't really sure on network ignition. It's like, is that the one that's supposed to go with it, or which is the 7720 part number? Because it doesn't say that in there. So I just gave MSD a call and we got that figured out. So we're going to change that, and that should make some big differences there. And finally, the season that felt like it would never start should be starting this weekend.
Racing RV is the place to shop, swap, and purchase your new RV.
Promotional considerations for Married with Dragsters provided in part by these fine companies: RacingRVS, Abruzzi Racing Transmissions and Converters, American Race Cars, Ohio Crankshaft, Crew Chief Pro Software, Replay XD, and by Borla Exhaust. Coming up next on Married with Dragsters.
I couldn't make it. We'd have had to jackknife the truck. There's traffic everywhere. There's fire trucks going by. I mean, it was just a nightmare.
That's a big dependency on whether it passes the chassis certification or not.